Hello children, how are you all? I hope you all are fine. Now here I am with another video that is based on the another part of the chapter, that is the pollination. So in the previous video we have already studied about the parts of the flower. I want to recall all the things for you all, that in that chapter we have studied about the male and female reproductive part of the flower. So here is that flower, and this is the hibiscus flower, and in which it's a bisexual flower. That means male and female units are present in the same flower. So here is the stamen, which is having anther and the filament, and another part is female reproductive part, that is the pistil, which is having three parts: stigma, style and ovary. Now children, you see here that this is what is the pollination. Pollination can be defined as the transfer of pollen grains from the anther of stamen to the stigma of pistil. So here the stamen is the male reproductive part and pistil is the female reproductive part of the flower. Okay, so that means both male and female gamete will come in the contact, that is the pollen grain is the male gamete, okay, and this female reproductive cells, that is the gametes are there. They come in the contact with each other for the reproduction process, and then further after the reproduction the seeds and the fruits will be formed. Okay, now here comes the types of pollination. What are the types of the pollination? Especially that is of two kinds, that is self-pollination and cross-pollination. So starting from the self-pollination, the transfer of pollen grains from the anthers of the flower to the stigma of the same flower or another flower of the same plant, that is called the self-pollination. That means the plant is the same, but you can see that here the anther is having the pollen grains and it goes to the stigma. So basically it happens in the bisexual flowers. Okay, now moving towards the another one, that is the cross-pollination. So cross-pollination is what? The transfer of pollen grains from anther of the flower to the stigma of the another flower on a different plant of the same kind. So here the thing should be noted down that the flower will be of different plant. Kind is the same. That means the hibiscus flower will go to the hibiscus flower only. Okay. Hibiscus means the gudhal flower. Okay. Similarly, same kind of flower will be there, but the plant will be different. So that is known as the cross pollination. As you can see here in the picture, that pollen from here it will move towards this one. So there is a stigma and they will go to the stigma. Now here you see that when it has to go from one flower to another, so they need one agent, or you can say the medium. So medium is known as the agent. Okay, so it could be anything. So anything, what is that? That is the wind may carry the pollen grains, or water may carry with the pollen grains, or insects also can carry also. Now how they will carry and who are those who will carry the pollen grains, we will study in another topic, that is the agents of pollination. Now children, here you see that this is the pumpkin flower, okay, and it's a unisexual flower. That is the male and female flowers will be different. This is the male flower having the anther inside, and this is the female flower. You can easily identify because here is the ovary, which is the bulge one. So here the cross pollination is possible because anther has to be carried from one flower, from the male flower to the female flower. Now children, we are going to talk about the agents of pollination. So what is known as the agents of pollination? So as I have told you about the cross pollination, there will be some sort of external factors here that to carry the pollen from one flower to another. Okay, because the pollen need medium to get carried. So here are four agents, that is the insects, birds, wind and the water. Okay, so starting from the insects, here you will see that one honeybee is there. Okay, honeybee is known as the most common pollinating agent. Okay, honeybee do more pollination than any other insect. Why? Because they collect the nectar from the flowers, okay, to make the honey. Okay, so this the process of pollination occurs in plants where they have the colored petals and a strong fragrance to attract the insects. Okay, so during this visit, the pollen grains released from the anther stick to the body and get carried away to some other flower. So when the body of the insect brushes against the stigma, it transfers the pollen to carry out the process of pollination. Now another agent is the bird. So birds are also the common pollinators. These birds are smaller in size, as you see here is the hummingbird, okay, and they are having long beak that help them to suck the nectar from the flowers. So when they are sucking the nectar from the flowers, the pollen grains get attached to the beaks and get carried away to other flowers where they get deposited to the stigma of these flowers. So pollination gets completed in this way with the help of the birds. Now another common agent of pollination is the wind. Wind pollinated plants like rugweed. This is the picture of the rugweed. They do not produce any nectar to attract the insects or the birds. So what happens, their pollens are very soft and then light weighted also. So they can easily get carried with the help of the wind. Okay, and then they complete the process of pollination. Now moving towards the another agent, that is the water. So basically the plants which are present inside the water, or aquatic plants, or the pond weeds, especially here you can see the pond weeds are there. Weeds are basically the unwanted plants which grow by themselves. Person need not to do lots of work or give so much of attention for this. So they are the unwanted plants basically. So the pollens are very light weighted. They also they get the medium water. Okay, so as they are very light weighted, so they used to float over the water and then get deposited on the another flower, and then in this way they carry the flower, the pollen grains, and does the work of pollination. Sometimes here you see, children, that sometimes the larger mammals or the fur kind of animals, those who are having the furs, when they move around in the field, then the pollen gets rubbed with their body, and from the flowers the pollen gets stuck to their body and get transferred. And here you can see a human being is also involved in the process of pollination, and they work as an agent for the process of pollination. So basically the scientists are involved in this. Why? Because they have to produce better quality flowers and fruits or vegetables. So for doing the experiment and for producing new varieties, they bring the male reproductive part to the female reproductive part, and this is also known as the artificial pollination. So the children, these all were the agents of pollination which help in the process of cross pollination basically. So students, hope you all have understood the topics. If you have any doubts or questions, you can ask in the comment section below. Please like, share it with your classmates, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so that you can get my latest updates. Thank you and take care.